Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and getting sicker by the day. And today we are going to talk about the Superman film, my personal little review or critique of it. And there is a lot to critique. I try not to believe the hype. And I went into this film thinking there's no way it could be any worse than Superman and Lois. That show completely destroyed everything about Superman. They made him die at the end. They cucked him. They embarrassed him. You couldn't do anything worse to Superman than in that show. And mercifully, it came to an end. So I went into the movie theater today thinking, okay, it can't be any worse than that. And most of the superhero films that are coming out now or over the last 10 years have been absolute garbage with this woke stuff and girl power bullshit and all this stuff, right? Well, I sit down, and after 30 minutes of commercials and trailers, this is the reason why movie theaters will be out of business in the next few years, and the amount of money I had to spend just to get a large Coke, Milk Duds, and the movie was like over $35, which is absolute nonsense. But I digress. I sit down to watch this movie, and I have to tell you, had I missed all the trailers and walked in just as the movie started, I would have thought that I missed about a half hour of this film. It just seemed to start in a very peculiar place and way. And from minute one, Superman is getting his ass kicked, which happens throughout the entire film. He gets his ass kicked over and over and over and over and over again. What is so super about this version of Superman? I don't know. But there is a hell-bent agenda to completely destroy this character. He's bloodied and bruised and beaten. Crypto comes, drags him to the Fortress of Solitude. He's got his robots there, his superbots. They bring him back. They blast him with sunlight. They bring him back, and then he returns to Metropolis. Now, this guy, David Cornsweet, what's his name? That portrayed Clark Kent, Superman. He was okay. He looks like the Man of Steel. He's got the jet black hair, the blue eyes. This guy's got to be like 6'3", 6'4". He's a big dude. But he just doesn't, I don't know. It just, maybe it's the way that his character is written. Maybe it was his portrayal of it. But I just didn't feel Superman with this guy. Didn't feel it at all. Lois Lane was a pleasant surprise because she was less bitchy than the previous Lois Lanes that have been portrayed. So they kind of pulled her back. But, years ago, I think it was 2021, 2022, when James Gunn was hired to run the DCEU, I should say. I was a little worried and a little skeptical because this guy Gunn has a whimsical way of writing. He always puts in a stupid joke or, he tries to lighten the mood during serious scenes. And he really, as far as I know, he really hasn't worked with single star-driven movies. He's always had ensemble casts, Guardian of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, all that, which I think he's good at. And the fear that I had, I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast, the fear that I had with James Gunn was, is he going to try to make a Superman movie in the Marvel model? And when I sat down to watch this film today, all of my fears came true. He tried to make Superman a Marvel movie, and it just didn't fit. All the stupid jokes, all the lame lectures. I mean, even some people were really pissed off about this, but there were the curse. There was a few curse words here and there. All of that was something that Gunn tried to sprinkle his own, salt and pepper in, and it just dinner wasn't served. I was left unfulfilled, and when I left that movie theater today, I was I wasn't moved at all. I had no I had no feeling getting out of there. There was no pulse. There was no juice. And that's the one thing. If you ever talk to anybody in television, movies, or radio, if you don't get a reaction out of your fans, if those people who watch that movie walk out of that movie theater unbothered or not thinking, or like not, oh wow, what did we just watch? You failed. And this movie fails to do this. Is this a bad film? Is this Bryan Singer's Superman? No. Is this a good film? No. I mean, it's below subpar. It's if I had to rate it at a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 4, 4.5. If I was giving it my S's, it would probably get 2 S's. But the portrayal of Superman, the story, was anything but a Superman story. There were so many characters in this movie. Superman fights a Pikachu basically. And this is a guy, this is Superman. If you read the comics, and I'm going to probably repeat this a bunch of times, Superman essentially can not essentially, he has in the comics, as you know, he's bench pressed the planet Earth. So he can pick up Earth and move it. He's picked up planets, right? He's punched holes into other dimensions, right? The man's strength and power it's infinite. And in this movie, he has trouble fighting a Pikachu monster. He has trouble holding up a building. He has trouble breaking out of chambers. They sapped him of all of his awesomeness, and for what reason I don't know. But I guess they wanted to make him a little bit more human. That was the theme at the end when he lectures Lex Luthor, saying, I'm human, I love, I feel, blah 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 blah. But they have made Superman, and this version of it solidified what DC and Warner Brothers are trying to do. They basically made Superman this emotional, weak, indecisive cuck. Superman is everything that Clark Kent used to be. Clark Kent is. Superman is the alter ego of Clark Kent. He's the opposite of Clark Kent. He's brave. He's confident. He's strong. He's a leader. But now the recent productions of Superman, whether it's in the movies or on television, live television, there's no difference between Clark Kent and Superman. They're both the same in their attitudes, in their emotions. Now, there's a lot of people who got pissed off that Superman cried and this and that. I'm not, that doesn't really bother me. I mean, listen, Superman cried in the Superman movie when Lois Lane dies in the Andreas Fault um, incident there. And, he did cry in Man of Steel. So Superman crying doesn't really bother me. But in this version of Superman, in this film, the the characters around him disregard him as if he was Clark Kent. The Justice Gang, they have zero respect for him. They just poo poo him like he's shit. It's fucking Superman. They don't listen to him. They don't work with him. They kill that stupid monster that was let loose in the middle of Metropolis by putting Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Terrific, I should say, put like some bombs in his stomach and blew him up, and he dies, internal injuries. But it wasn't what Superman wanted. He wanted to get the thing out of there and put it in. It's what's that zoo he has? But they just nobody listens to the guy. Lois Lane, she tells him literally to his face that this relationship won't work, and he simps to her. You're Superman, dude. You don't simp to anybody. You have a universe to defend. You have different dimensions that you can go into and defend them too. And over and over again, if you're not a comic book fan of, Superman gets involved in this war between Barovia and Jarhanpur, and they have this character named the Hammer of Barovia, who of course we later know as Ultraman. And if you read the comics, if you know the canon of Superman, you know that Ultraman is Superman, the evil doppelganger of Superman. He's basically the evil Superman twin. So that's the big reveal in the movie. Spoilers, sorry if but read a comic once in a while. But that's the big reveal, and it just had no juice. Just had no juice at all. They have the engineer in there, and she has like nanotechnology where she has like these how the hell do you explain it? Like these kind of like mechanical these mechanical things that can latch onto you, suffocate you, all that good stuff. She's in there too. I mean, but I had no connection to any of these characters. I could have cared less who lived or died in this movie. And the Justice Gang was basically a copy of the Justice Society in the Black Adam film. They were all assholes. Now, the Green Lantern version of um, in this movie, Guy Gardner, he's a dick with a bad haircut, but he's so unlikable in this movie. He's not funny. He's not interesting, and he doesn't even wear a suit or any like a costume that shows him being Green Lantern. So if you've never seen a superhero movie, if you're a novice, you wouldn't even have known he was Green Lantern. I mean, you knew who Hulk Girl was. She was in it for a little bit. Mr. Terrific, I mean, they mentioned he was in there more than anybody, but you wouldn't have even known it. The halls of justice, the Justice League headquarters, it looked like a Starbucks. It looked like some lounge they were just sitting around in. And can we finally? And by the way, Jimmy Olsen. They made this guy Jimmy Olsen out to be this coos magnet. All the girls love him. Miss Tessmacher is infatuated with him. Where did that come from? Jimmy Olsen was just a little photographer guy. Now all of a sudden he's got interns and all these chicks chasing him. I mean, he had some okay scenes, but the fact that he's manipulating Eve Tessmacher, who's infatuated with him a scary point, that he gets information about the pocket dimension that Superman is trapped in, and he doesn't want to spend time with her. He doesn't want to spend a weekend with her. Are you out of your fucking mind? They miscast that so bad that you have this hot chick who's coming after him, and you got this little worm who's like, "Oh no, I don't want to spend the weekend with you." Are you? Yeah. The big beef with me was Lex Luthor, and look, I get everybody's interpretation is different. They want to be different. They want to make their own film. But can we bring back the Lex Luthor that is a masculine 40-year-old guy instead of some little whiny bitch that this Lex Luthor here isn't a genius. He's not a scientist. He's not anything other than a gamer. He's basically a gamer. He's playing video games with Ultraman, telling him, throwing out numbers 1A, 16B, 18, and that's how, Ultraman fights Superman. He's basically gaming. And he has this army of brainwashed monkeys that are on social media trolling Superman. The whole movie is about canceling Superman on social media. It's a public relations film. And it just doesn't work. And there's so many characters in there. And everything is going all over the place. And there's so many beats. And when you, if you know anything about screenwriting, when you write a film, like an action film, a kind of an adventure film, or a superhero film, those movies usually are dictated by beats. So when Superman fights the Pikachu monster, Superman's fighting the Pikachu monster and defeats him, but Lex Luthor enters the Fortress of Solitude. There always has to be that but, because if you say and, it becomes episodic, and one beat just goes into another, and then it just becomes a mess. This is what happened. There were no buts, there were ands. And that is not how you want to write an action or superhero film. And James Gunn was in total control of this. He wrote and directed this. And he threw in those stupid jokes and this stupid, whimsical, silly bullshit during every important or serious scene. And it just brought down everything, killed everything. And they don't let Superman guide the film. Everybody else is doing all these great things. Everybody else has these great scenes. Everybody else is saving the day. Crypto and Mr. Terrific had more scenes of heroism than Superman did. This was basically an ensemble movie where Superman was just another guy, but he was the guy who was getting his ass kicked all the time. And even when they introduced Metamorpho, who he's stuck in jail with Superman, and he turns his hand into kryptonite, so Superman is getting kryptonite poisoned. Metamorpho's son is held hostage in another jail cell. So if Metamorpho decides to help Superman, the kid would die. Eventually, Metamorpho um, changes his mind and basically creates the sun in his hands to bring back Superman and break everybody out of jail. But which was kind of cool. That was I kind of like the Metamorpho scene. But even there, it's like Superman's getting his ass kicked by robots and guys in robotic armor. He's getting his ass kicked over and over and over again, and he doesn't really use all of his powers. I mean, it was like an hour into the film where he finally uses his heat vision. He doesn't use his super hearing. He doesn't really use his super speed. His superpower is kind of lame because he can't even hold. He can't fight monsters. He can't hold up buildings. He was getting handled easily by second and third rate characters that if you're not a comic book geek, you wouldn't know. And Jimmy Olsen finds out that he's in the pocket dimension. And of course, because we live in this day and age, who's the only people that can help and save Superman? A white liberal female journalist and a black scholar. That's how it has to be. And that's exactly how it went. Now, the film gets a little bit John Wickish because Lex Luthor breaks into the um, Fortress of Solitude. He steals a a message from Jor-El and Lara, and that is their final message to Superman. And he destroys all the robots, and he dog naps Crypto. Superman goes to the Fortress of Solitude, sees it's a mess, looks for Crypto, can't find him, blasts his way into Lex Luthor's office. He's being recorded by Tessmacher, and he's being this emotional, helpless, feeble fool on the internet. And Lex Luthor totally outmans him in that scene, and he pretty much outmans him in the movie. And it's so frustrating because in the comics, he's such a strong. He's a man. He's a great man in the comics. But the problem with Superman is that he's a white Christian man and heterosexual, and that is a no go. We cannot have those guys ruling the world or taking control of the world or getting credit for saving the world. Oh no, those days are over. How dare you want to have a white male as the symbol of hope? No, no, he needs help. He needs help from a woman. He needs help from a black guy in a black mask, by the way, which never made sense to me. Excuse me. And he needs help from this wimpy little photographer who just happens to be the biggest coos hound on the planet. Girls can't stop throwing themselves at him. And this goes to show that there is a Hollywood agenda against white males. And here is how I'll prove it to you. If you haven't seen the movie, sorry for the spoiler. But the Superman, the message from Jor-El and his mother, Bradley Cooper played Jor-El, by the way. I didn't even recognize him at first. It's a farewell message. And it's in Kryptonian, so it's a language that we don't understand. And there's no subtitles to it. And it breaks up because it was damaged during his flight to Earth. Lex Luthor, with the help of the engineer, decodes it and blasts it all over social media with English subtitles. Well, with an English narration. And basically, the the message that his parents tell him is you're going to conquer Earth, collect as many women, as many wives as you need, so you can restore your Kryptonian race. And the public, of course, turns on him. Does that sound a little familiar? A white man spreading his seed to save his race? We don't want that. We want white women to have mixed babies. We don't want white women especially, to have babies at all. We want the extinction of the white race because white people are so bad. This movie, this movie shows in a in the entertainment world what the global agenda is. It's right in front of you. Superman is white, he's Christian, he's heterosexual, and his parents wanted him to restore his superior race. That can't happen in the movie, and that cannot happen in society today. Feminists, the Alphabet City Mafia, and the liberal Hollywood agenda or media agenda cannot allow this to happen, and they have to make it as subtle of a message as possible. It wasn't so subtle if you kind of read between the lines. But they want young men, young white men who are more comic book fans than any other. They want them to see that message and have it resonate in their heads. Maybe I'm thinking too much into this, but it was just so obvious to me that this is the agenda that they have. Because you can't tell me that they're not purposely destroying this character and trying to downgrade him with all these recent interpretations of this character in Superman and Lois, in the Batman versus Superman, in the Justice League, in this movie. They have step by step by step tried to diminish this character and just make him out to be more Clark Kent rather than Superman. And as I said, throughout the whole movie, he's getting his ass kicked. And Lex Luthor's in this office space with these gamers, and he's just basically playing video games all the time. The other part that bothered me was the portrayal of the Kents. They made them out to be so bumpkin white trash that it was kind of insulting. They were older people, which okay, fine. You want to make them older? That's fine. But they were so backwards, and they made Jonathan Kent out to be this crybaby wuss. They were cartoonish humanoid bumpkins, rednecks. Hi y'all, how you doing? That's where they were. That's how they had them portrayed. And there was a beautiful moment. There was probably the best, and this is hard. There was a great scene where Jonathan and Clark are speaking. Clark, of course, escapes to prison, the pocket dimension prison, and he has to recuperate because he has kryptonite poisoning. So he goes back to Kent Farms, and his father tells him, he tells his father, "I can't believe this is happening. This is who I really am." And the father says, "Just the fact that you're shocked by this shows what kind of man you are." I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that was probably the best scene in the entire movie. The fight scenes were blah. Crypto did more damage than anything else. Crypto fucks up Lex Luthor. And Crypto, by the way, is supposed to be a Labrador, a golden, I think golden retriever, or golden Labrador, the yellow Labrador. So the dog that they had there was cute. But can we stick to the script, please? Can we stick to the comics? Can we stick to the sources, for God's sakes? Can we show the man a little? Can we show this character a little respect instead of having him be bitched out by insignificant characters and humans? I mean, no one had any fear for this guy in this movie. Nobody. It was really a shame to see. It was as underwhelming as fuck, and it's so disappointing that you look forward to seeing these movies and you hope that they go back to basics and they always have to give you this modern interpretation, which doesn't work. Stop trying to bring the real world into these fantasy worlds. We go to the movies, we read books, we watch TV to escape reality, not see it played out. So at the end of the day, there's a black hole. Superman and Mister Terrific stop the black hole. Lex is arrested, and finally, the movie starts to come to its end. And of course, it's not Superman who saves the day by himself. He has to have a crowd with him because Superman is not capable of saving the world by himself. The scene and the movie, the last scene of the movie has him at the Fortress of Solitude. The robots are all back together, and the surprise for me was Kara Zor-El. It was Kara, well, Supergirl, but I forget what her last name would be. I think it's Kara Zor-El. I think yes, Kara Zor-El. She returns and she's shit faced drunk. Now the thing is she looked like a teeny bopper. This is what bothers me. Kara in the comics is older than Superman is. Supergirl is actually older than Superman. She lived on Krypton. Her father was a great scientist as well. Sent her off of Krypton before before it imploded. So she's older than Clark. And they bring out this teeny bopper girl who's drunk off her ass, and Superman tells the robots, because they're his only friends, another sign, right? They're saying that men, especially white men, are addicted to electronics, online entertainment, and sooner or later, white men they're predicting will be in love with robots and stuff like that. But I don't see that happening. But he's talking to these robots because they're the only people that he can relate to, and he tells the robots that Kara goes off to planets that have red suns so she can go party and get drunk, and probably basically saying she wants to, whore herself out on these planets. Crypto, of course, is her dog, and she runs off with Crypto. But before she leaves, the last bit of disrespect for the Man of Steel, she calls Clark a bitch. There's no reason for that line. There was no reason for a lot of the lines that were coming out. A lot of the god damn it's and shits and all this. There was no reason for these things. It was just James Gunn being James Gunn. And he wanted to bring this Marvel world into the DC universe. And it was a mashed up mess. It was just a mashed up mess. So what does this say about future Superman films? What does it say about our society? Well, it says that feminists hate everything Superman represents. And when I say feminists, I don't mean just women. There are male feminists out there. As sad as that sounds, as sick as that sounds, there are. And they hate what Superman represents. The old Superman, not this one. This is what they want. They want Clark Kent. The old Superman was strength, honor, class, courage, justice, honesty. They don't want that anymore. Leadership, they don't want that anymore. They don't want a white male, whether he's from Krypton or not. They don't want the symbol of a white male to lead, save the world, be the symbol of hope in the world. They don't want that. Feminists hate everything that Superman represents, everything that Superman is, and they are going to, by hook or by crook, they are going to feminize this character as much as they can, and they're so far winning because this movie was so underwhelming. He was just another guy. I mean, for some reason they don't do that with Batman. For some reason they don't. I mean, the Marvel universe, they did that to Captain America, and they did that to Iron Man. And I love Captain America. I was never an Iron Man fan, but I love Captain America, and I love Hulk and Spider Man. But they're not Superman. He is the symbol of what every little boy wanted to be. And feminists, and I'm not going to say this movie was woke because it wasn't as woke as Superman and Lois. That's all I'll say. But this film, it's telling. It's just showing where this wave of new comic book movies is going to go. Now, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing on social media, the box office numbers are not particularly great. They had to have a certain number. They're not there. And why? Because overseas, in Europe, in South America, in Australia, in Asia, they don't want to see a cucked white man. People think that white men are hated. That's what Anglo-American media and society wants you to believe. Around the world, white men are very much admired. And when they see Superman treated this way, portrayed this way, it turns them off, and they're not going to spend their money on it. They're just not. So the overseas numbers are not that great. It I've seen numbers like 425 million were the end budget for this film. It cost over 225 to make it, another 200 million uh, to promote it. So they're probably looking at about 850 just to break even. I don't see that happening. Not with the numbers that are coming up now. Next week it might pick up. There might be a little steam. A lot of the younger generation boys, especially, have said that they thought the movie was cool. I wanted this movie to be great. It's not. I'm at a crossroads here. If the movie does well, they'll make a part two and it'll be worse. But if the movie doesn't do well, maybe, just maybe, they'll put the Superman franchise away for a little bit. Maybe they'll hire more comic book esque writers and somebody with a comic book vision as a director, and just keep it simple. There's unlimited source material to go by. Unlimited. You don't even have to go to the comic books. You don't even have to go to the graphic novels. You can use any one of the ages of animation and just pluck from there. And you can keep it nice and tight. You don't have to have all these goddamn characters all over the place. You can keep it a Superman-esque movie where he drives the bus. And yeah, he's going to have to. There's going to be a point in time in that movie where he is vulnerable. But not throughout the entire fucking film. He was getting his ass beat over and over and over and over and over again. All right. But yes, Superman, the old Superman, is everything that feminism hates. And they will not allow that Superman to come back, just like they won't allow the old James Bond to come back. Now, the only way things will change is when the money stops coming in. And if these movies bomb, they'll either do one or two things. They'll stop making them, or they'll stop making them this way. We'll see which one it is. But I digress. I was a little heated today, a little disappointed, a little bit. All right. Thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And be careful out there, my friends. Satan is always busy, as you know. Be a man, have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. We'll see you later.